What's going on, guys? This is Raph from Between Two Forks, back again this week with a brand new video. This is going to be the first episode / installment of the Cangshan Thomas Keller series functionality video, where we're going to go through each knife of the 17-piece block set, talk a little bit about the functionality and pros and cons of each of the knife. Now, with all the FTC rules going on, let's go ahead and get this out of the way. The 17-piece block set, as well as this butcher block, is sent to me by Cangshan completely free of charge. They sent it to me as a partnership / collaboration to help them do these functionality videos. However, I am not getting paid monetarily by Cangshan, just to get that out there. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm a little thrown off right now because I had recorded an entire session without the cameras rolling, and this is not the first time I've done it. Okay, so the first knife that we're going to talk about is the extension of any cook's hands, and it is your chef knife. Now, your chef knife is going to be the knife that you do about 80 to 90% of all of your prep work with. You can usually get away with using your chef knife on pretty much all of your prep work. I do all the time. Like I'm guilty of that. Now, there are specialized knives for certain tasks that make it a lot more efficient. It makes it a lot safer. It's just having the right tools for the job. It's just, like I said, a lot more efficient, a lot safer a lot of times. Now, the reason I really like this Thomas Keller knife is because it is extremely comfortable in the hands. This handle fits in your hand perfectly. The sloped design or the sloped profile of the knife is extremely comfortable and takes a lot of fatigue off of your wrist and your hands when you cut for a long time. The bolster is designed perfectly for a pinch grip. A pinch grip is your most popular way of properly holding a chef knife, where you pinch it right here on the blade and you wrap the rest of your fingers around the handle. This allows you to really choke up on a knife. What I mean by choking up on a knife is that you get a lot of control of the knife. You can control the knife a lot better. And when you can control the knife a lot better, it makes for a much safer cutting environment. Now, one more thing is that, I guess not one more thing, another thing is that it is, of course, a full tang knife, which is pretty much a benchmark for any high quality knives. Now, the thing that I do want to rave about is definitely the steel that this knife is made out of, the material. Now, this knife is made out of RWL 34 steel. I'm not going to try to bog you down a lot with a lot of details. I have a, first impression / unbox of the Thomas Keller knife, which I have a lot of details in. But what makes this steel so special is that it is a powdered steel, so it's very durable. It takes on a very, very fine edge, and usually this steel is reserved for, I guess not reserved, you usually find this in more custom one-of-a-kind knives by independent knife makers. So if you're not familiar with custom knives, they usually range anywhere from $500 to several $1,000s. And to find this steel in a manufactured knife like this Cangshan Thomas Keller knife is a really, really nice surprise. Like, this knife is so sharp and it stays sharp so well. Like, I've used this knife for, I think, about 6 months or so, and I haven't had to sharpen it, not even once. Like, occasionally I'll run it through, with the knife steel, but that's not really sharpening. That's just honing your knife. I mean, you should hone your knife anyway, right? And yeah, I've been really impressed with this knife, just, in the past 6 months of using it. Now, let's go ahead and dice an onion. I'm gonna go ahead and dice an onion and show you how well this knife performs. Alright guys, so the first thing we're going to do is let's dice an onion. Now, like I said before, pinch grip and your hand position is extremely, extremely important. You don't want to lose any of these digits. So one of the things that I have learned is you'll want to make a C out of your hands, right? Yeah, you make a C out of your hands. So what you do is you just cup it. So that way, when you cut, it's just your knuckle against the knife, and all of your fingers stay intact. So that way, even if you do accidentally cut yourself, it's just nicking your hand and not losing a fingertip. Okay, so make sure you learn how to properly hold your hand. Like proper hand position, so that way you cut safely. Now, some people like to dice their onion by making sideways cuts like this. I guess that is the more proper way to do it. I personally like to just make the cuts straight down. I usually have the end of it cut off so it's flat. You usually want a flat surface when you cut because you don't want things rolling around. When things are rolling around, it makes it very dangerous, it makes it slippery, and it's very easy to cut yourself. And also to debunk the, a dull knife is safer. No, a dull knife is not safer than a sharp knife. A dull knife requires you to use more force, and a dull knife also can slip on surfaces because the edge is rounded off, and it can slip right into your hand with a lot of force behind it, and you know the rest of it. You will probably get cut. And then you just want to finely dice. Look how nice and fine that dice is. And I gotta tell you, a sharp knife that cuts through and doesn't smash through the onion, you will actually have less tears when you cut through it, because there are less, squishing and crushing of the onion where it releases a lot of the mist around, which is what makes you tear up when you cut an onion. Now let's go ahead and move this to the side. Let's go ahead and cut this cabbage right here. Look at this beautiful cabbage. Now, another thing that I really like about a chef knife compared to, other knives is that it's a lot longer, right? So that way, when you have bigger vegetables like this, you can actually get through it a lot easier. Look how pretty this cabbage is. And this knife is so sharp. Look at that. Perfectly sliced. Okay guys, so as you can see, the chef knife is an extremely versatile tool. You can dice with it, you can slice with it, you can chop with it, you can rock with it, you can do so many things with a chef knife. And like I said, you're going to be doing about 80 to 90% of all your prep work with a chef knife. The only thing you don't want to do with this is, go pry cans open or change your brakes and do household chores with it. Like, don't do that. Like, don't go mowing your lawn with a freaking chef knife. Don't go cut weeds with it. Because use it for what it's intended for. I've seen so many people ruin knives by, because they can't find their can opener, and they try to pry a $2 can of beans open with a $200 chef knife, and the tip snaps off. And guess what? They get ticked off. Of course you do, because you're using the chef knife wrong. Keep your chef knife on the cutting board and use it for its intended purpose, and it is not opening cans. Now, this pretty much wraps up the first episode of the Cangshan Thomas Keller functionality video, featuring, of course, the Thomas Keller chef knife. And if you guys like this video, if you can hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, it will mean the world to me, and it will help support all of this madness. And I will see you guys next week.